let's go to Taiwan and Japan's trade relationship. It's confusing for many. It's both cooperation and competition. Can you just explain where you see it from your point of view?
Well, from my point of view, people talk about collaboration of the two countries, but I would say they're one. I mean, when you talk about Taiwan, people talk about semiconductors, high-end semiconductors. But without the material of Japan, Japan holds approximately 50% of, the basic materials, and also about 30% market share of semiconductor manufacturing equipment. So we're very strong in that area. We're mutually, complementing each other, and that is a position of Taiwan and Japan. Aside from these quantitative issues, there's a lot of qualitative issues. The Japanese and Taiwanese, we speak different language, but our ideology and values are very similar. It's almost amazing. Usually the wall that basically persists on international trade, which is cultural, administrative, geographic, or economic. The barrier of Taiwan and Japan, especially on the culture side, is very low, which makes things a lot easier for the continuation of or perpetuating of trade partnership.
TSMC recently invested about $17 billion into semiconductor manufacturing in Japan. Firstly, do you think that is part of the idea that Japan cannot go it alone when it comes to semiconductor manufacturing? And two, do you see more of that happening?
Oh yeah, definitely. They've opened up a plant in Kumamoto. We'd like, other people to follow. You can see they've started opening up, the banks, Taiwanese banks have started to open up branch in the Kyushu area for that reason, like in Fukuoka, and they're starting to really open up. I think we should have seen this coming a lot more. Unfortunately, I think a lot of the political side and the economic side of Japan really hasn't really understood the potential. So if we see a banking side open, that would open up doors to many other industries. So I think we'll have a lot more potential coming through in this area.
When you say banking side, what kind of banking, which areas do you think have the most potential?
Right now, it's commercial banking. They've started along with the TSMC's expansion into Kumamoto, and I can see some banks opening up in Fukuoka, which is the largest city in that Kyushu island. We have a saying, sometimes you're treasuring right in front of you and you forget about it because they're right in front of you. And I really think that, Japan and Taiwan in that kind of relationship.
A conversation that happens a lot here in Taiwan is about the Japanese yen, especially because it is at such a low point, and particularly because Taiwanese love holidaying in Japan, so that makes it very accessible. Where do you see the Japanese yen heading?
Well, unfortunately, I think it will remain fairly weak. And this is very negative news considering that right now Japan is suffering from inflation like any other countries. In my opinion, that's the biggest threat to the Takaichi regime, where you've got the inflation coming through, partly because of the oil price rise, but the weakening yen exacerbating this. And we know that the economic conditions in the United States is not showing as strong a sign as we expected. But that said, the intra deviation between the United States and Japan still remains to be pretty high, which tells you that yen will probably remain continuously weak. Now, we estimate the Bank of Japan will have another raise this summer and probably later in the year. So many people think that the rate rise will take on a perpetuated basis. I don't think so. The reason for it being is that Bank of Japan do not have the deep pocket that many people think. Their current account is up to here, over 600 trillion yen. They might be shooting their own foot by raising the rates in the first place. In second place, Japanese economy's revival isn't as strong as to continuously increase the rates. Of course, in order to mitigate excessive weakening of the yen, basically simmer down the inflation pressure, you will see verbal comments from Bank of Japan, but I think their action is pretty much limited, in my opinion. So from that point of view, I think weak yen is here to stay for a little more. From the tourist point of view, that's very positive. But from the overall macro picture of industrial side, yes, like I said, the biggest worry that I have is continuous exacerbation or the weakening of the yen, which may lower the popularity rating of Takaichi-san, which is now giving a very big positive push towards transitional change in Japan that's starting to happen. So we had a very good kickoff, and we're now at least looking towards regression of growth Because that's what Takeshita-san saying. Japan is back. That's what she wants to say. When we're having a public support rate of over 70% of people, which I haven't seen in ages, at least our minds are set to go for her words. But that could basically fail if our living standards become very difficult. Again, those are the factors that I worry the most.